Hey y'all, welcome back to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap and review romance novels while giggling, snorting, and generally friendshipping in front of you. This week, we're actually going to jump right in and finish up our discussion of The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. I hope you read it.
Yeah.
Hi, Erin.
Hello, Melody.
So I just came right from putting Ember down for a nap. And it made me think about that time that you mole-shamed everyone.
Did I mole-shamed?
Mm-hmm. I think in
No.
what was it?
No.
What
wasn't a mole
episode
shame.
was that?
No.
No, you were
I know exactly what
it's
episode
not
it was.
like
It was the
she had
Handmaid.
some big scary mole on her face or anything.
I'm not saying people with big moles on their face don't deserve love or aren't attractive. I'm just saying it's a higher hurdle than being thin.
Fair.
What I'm saying is she was so upset that she was small as if she'd never get a man because she was small. And I'm like, you're acting like it's a mole. And it's
Indeed. Well, let me tell you a little story about nap time, shall I?
Okay.
Ember was reclined on me, like he had his little tummy against my tummy, and it was all cute. And then he put his hand up to cup my cheek like the sweetest little cherub that ever happened. And he felt the slightly, what's the right word? Dome-shaped raised skin that is a mole on my cheek. And he pops up off my shoulder and he touches it and he goes, "Mama nipple." And I was like, so then we had a whole talk about the difference between nipples and moles and where nipples are and how moles can be anywhere on your body and, the whole thing. It was pretty funny. Mama nipple.
Well, I think having a nipple on your face would also be a hurdle, but surmountable. I'm sure there would be a man out there for you if you had or a woman out there for you if you had a nipple on your face. I feel like I didn't mole shame. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just kidding around.
Because as soon as we got done with this episode, you guys, Melody was like, okay, in recording, I have 50 moles.
No, I sent you text
and I have
messages.
11 on my face. Yeah.
That was like
immediately she's like, how dare you? I was like, I didn't. I'm sorry.
I am a moly person. I am of the moly tribe. It's true.
I don't even know that you were like, I have 11 moles on my face or however many moles you have on your face. I was like, I didn't even know that.
Some could be deemed freckles. Some are just little cute things. Other ones, though, feel like nipples when you touch them, apparently. And you're a toddler.
I can't wait to see you next.
I know, right? I also have a mole in my left eyebrow. It's in there.
Inside there?
In it.
That's nice.
Yep.
That's cool.
Weird.
I realized today that while I've told the friendship cult about my dog Goat, some developments with Goat, I haven't actually told the podcast. So
tell us everything.
You already know this. The cult already knows this. But I thought that you guys might want to hear. We got Goat in March, and she was a very disobedient dog. So here's the thing with Goat, is that her family had her for 6 years, supposedly, even though she seems younger than 6. So I don't know if that's right. But this is just what the shelter told us. So the family had her for a period of time from puppy till now, and then they got a new puppy, and she didn't get along with the new puppy, so they got rid of Goat, which is
horrifying.
Bullshit. Horrible people. And her name, when at the shelter when they dropped her off, was Labella, which I was like, that's a stupid name. Like, that's up there with some of the worst names I've ever heard from a dog, which is up there with Rooster's original name. Did I ever tell you this?
No.
You know what Rooster's shelter name was?
No.
They dropped her off. Well, she was saved from the streets, so I think this is just the name the shelter gave her.
Fine.
Madison with a Y. Yeah,
what?
like MadYson.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
That's like the name of a kid I don't like, let alone a dog. I'm sorry if your name is Madison with a Y, listener. I doubt it is, but just in case. I am sorry. I don't care for your name.
Yeah, that's
anyway,
like naming a kid Clayton with a K or something dumb.
Here's the thing. If you're going to name your kid Clayton with a K, that's fine. When he shows up in kindergarten, he'll have like a funky letter. But dogs can't fucking spell. Like, why change the spelling from the phonetic of the thing? That's dumb. Anyway, so Labella, get her home. We're like, you're goat now. And she doesn't respond to any commands whatsoever. And we're like, this is so weird. You were in with a family for 6 years. You're spayed.
Yeah.
They clearly took care of you. You should know sit by now. And then we were messing around with her one day, and we just threw out a couple Spanish words as a joke. And she is a Spanish-speaking dog. It's my most favorite thing in the world.
You have a bilingual household now.
Yes! It's the best. So anyway, I thought I'd share that about Goatster.
I love that.
It's wonderful because we have to tell Rooster, like, get down, and then we have to turn to Goat and be like, abajo. It's wonderful.
And I'm so glad that you and David speak Spanish, because otherwise everybody would be confused. She would just never listen to you again.
We speak enough that we can tell the dog what to do, which is only like, 5 words.
Fair enough.
So that's what's new with me.
Very cool.
The other thing is her name that she had, like Labella, it was probably La Bella, like a little girl had named her, the beautiful one. And that makes a lot more sense, but I still hate that family, whoever they are, because they're bad at dog ownership.
People.
It made me feel like there's maybe a little girl, though, who named her, and maybe she misses her. That makes me very sad, but I don't know. The parents are dicks. Well, it's not the little girl's fault.
The parents are dicks, and everybody prioritized that new shiny puppy over Goat, so they can go fuck themselves.
Goat's so wonderful. It's so awful. Anyway.
All right. Should we get into the majesty that is part 2?
Part 2?
Kiss Quotient. I think we should.
All right. Where did we leave off? Were we at the club?
Oh, don't worry. No. When we left off, she had just given him her alternate proposal. Will you be my test boyfriend? Will you be my educational boyfriend for a month or 3 or 6? I'll pay you $50,000 a month. And he said,
it was $50,000 a month? I thought it was just $50,000 flat.
No, Mang.
God, this bitch is so rich.
I know.
Also, I think we forgot to say that in the conversation after they were leaving the club, like, he told her about the blonde woman who was smooching. I don't think we talked about that.
Oh.
Where he said that she was an older client and that she had bought him the Lamborghini that he drives.
The BMW.
Oh, I thought it was, no. Yeah. It's a BMW because they talk about, like, if she bought him a Lamborghini, what would he do and that kind of thing. So she bought him a car, which he still drives, and she's like an older client, and she was like the clinger that made him not want to have
repeat clients more
than one night with a client ever again. And I don't know if we said that in the last podcast, and it's very, very important.
It is very important. Okay. So when we next talk to Michael, he is having some boxing therapy in his apartment. He has hung himself an illicit boxing bag.
Wait, why illicit?
Apparently it's against the... You can't screw shit into the ceiling? No.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it called a boxing bag? A punching bag.
Punching bag.
I'm so good at sports. So... So yeah, and then Quan walks in just as he pleases and gets into his fridge because he's the best friend ever. I'm telling you, the sign of a best friend is, can I walk into your house and immediately go to the fridge? If so, we're close.
I'm so happy that you live so far away from a refrigerator.
I know.
I think it would be constant.
Yeah.
Same for me to your refrigerator, but you always have like healthy, coconut flakes and
I have
cocoa powder,
things.
Almonds. No, your barometer for unhealthy is not the same.
We just talked about my sweet tarts, sir. Those are full of sugar and dye.
Sure, but you hide them.
Yes, I do.
If I open your fridge, it would be all vegetables, and you'd be like, oh, are you craving something sweet? Here's 100% cocoa powder that you could dust on this banana.
That's not
bullshit.
true.
Bullshit, Melody. You became not a vegetarian when you got pregnant with Ember, which was after the last time I saw you. Yep. So maybe your fridge has evolved into being a better fridge.
I mean, there's meat in there now.
Last saw you. Yeah, meat. Maybe like a cookie. Is there a cookie?
I made banana bread yesterday, but it's with whole wheat flour and honey. They're really good. They're shockingly
I'm sure it's really good. I'm sure it's really good.
You know what? Next time you're here, I'm just going to show you where all of my illicit snacks are hidden. That's what I'll do. So just in case you need some, I'll show you my junk food drawer. It's not a drawer. It may not be a drawer. It may or may not be a drawer. Everyone. Nobody knows.
Junk food drawer?
Nope.
Oh, sorry.
Junk food spot.
I have a junk food just pantry. The whole thing. Oh no. What are you worried that the HBs are going to come to your house and like raid your junk food?
Yeah, they'll look through all of my drawers. Okay.
If they haven't found Tonku yet, I think you're safe. I feel like if Tonku is safe, you're safe because he is remarkably easy to find, it turns out. Yep. So no worries.
Okay. Sorry. So Quan comes over and Michael's a little bit annoyed, but he's like, yes, you're my best friend. Okay, cool. And then Quan asks him if he thinks that Stella is maybe a little bit like Kai, like if they remind them of each other. And Michael's like, maybe a little bit, but not really. And then keeps moving with his day.
Yeah. Because she had made Quan promise not to tell Michael that she's autistic. So Quan's kind of trying to without breaking that promise to her, which is very sweet.
It is really sweet. And then he's like, dude, she really likes you. Like, she wanted you to think well of her because she really likes you. And Michael's like, in no universe would an amazing lady like Stella like me like that. So, blah. Okay, and then I guess we jump to next Friday, right?
I think so.
So, all week, they're supposed to talk to each other. But then the chapter opens up and... Oh, no. I guess it's just like Stella's perspective opens up. And she wakes up to a call from her housekeeper on Friday asking her for the day off and telling her that she needs to take her own dry cleaning in because she won't be able to do it.
Which is very stressful for Stella.
Yeah. Because it's
honestly,
a bunch
I feel like that's pretty stressful for anyone.
Just in general.
I've got to find a dry cleaner and like get there before work. Like this is very framed in a like... Her autism made this extremely stressful, which I'm sure it does. But I feel like anybody with or without autism would be like, oh shit, like I gotta find my own dry cleaner this morning and then get to work.
Yeah, not to mention that like build it into my morning with not that like if it was the night before, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll wake up 30 minutes earlier to get my ass to a dry cleaner. Yeah. But the morning of, no, I would be freaking out. Yeah. So
she does what everyone would do, gets on
Yelps it up.
Triangulates the map of where all the dry cleaners are.
And then chooses the one with the best ratings. It's a little bit out of her way, but she doesn't mind.
Yep.
So she gets there and goes to walk in. She meets this adorable little Asian grandmother with like handkerchief over her head.
And she's trying to do the, what do you call them, with the shears?
Yeah, she's trying to chop off a branch of the tree.
Yeah, she's doing a branch. And then Stella walks up and she just straight up hands her the gardening shears. Like, you do this for me.
Cut.
Yeah. You cut. She's like pointing to the branch and like pointing to Stella. And she's like, okay, I guess. Yeah. And like, so she cuts that branch down for her.
Oh, and then favorite, she goes to step closer to the tree and the grandmother's like, whoa, slow your roll here. Because she's about to step into a little urban herb garden that she's planted right in front of the store. It's so good. So then she goes inside and stops dead because someone is fitting a woman for a hem. And his voice sounds really familiar and he looks really familiar. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, it's Michael.
It's Michael. He does alterations for his job.
Oh, shit.
And
he
she's
is
like,
a tailor.
Oh shit, he is going to think that I tracked him down and I'm following him and that I'm obsessed with him, which is true, but the first two things aren't true. And what am I going to do? So she just freaks out.
My favorite thing about her freak out is when she's like, this looks really bad. Stalker bad. Not fair. She's only just realized she was obsessed with him today. She hadn't had time to stalk him like a fanatic.
Yeah, it was like, I totally would. Like, that tracks for me. However.
This is not...
Yeah.
So he sees her and he's like really taken aback. And so she just goes to book it out of there.
Right.
And he stops her and he's like, hey, what's going on? She's like, I wasn't stalking you. I'm really sorry. I know it looks like that. And he goes, actually, it sort of looks like you needed some dry cleaning done.
Yeah, you have a bag full of clothes, which makes me think that this is a happenstance.
Right.
Which, if you're a good stalker, you bring a bag of clothes.
You bring a bag of clothes.
But Michael just, he trusts her.
He knows.
He loves her.
He knows her
it's hard
soul.
for him to think that she's a stalker.
Yeah.
If she stalked him, he would like it.
He would. And so they chat, and then he kisses her across the counter.
Yeah. She, pulls out her laundry, and then there's something still inside, and she, kind of shakes it, and it's the blue dress they wore.
In front of the Gelato Teenagers.
The Gelato Teenagers. Ugh. And it says, as he upended it, the bag, the blue dress tumbled out, his eyes lifted to hers and smoldered. Stella gripped the counter as ice cream memories flickered through her head. Chilled silken lips, mint chocolate chip, the taste of his mouth, unhurried kisses in a room full of people. I was like, damn, Stella.
Oh, girl. Get it?
Yep.
So his mom sees her there. It's a whole thing. And then he decides on a whim to accept her proposal and,
yes,
be her fake boyfriend.
Right. But when he's smooching her, he's like, the proposal includes no sex? And she's like, yeah, that's right. And he says, and this is so that you can be sure that the next man to kiss you or touch you only does it because he wants to. And she's like, yes. And that's when he goes into smoocher.
Good
yeah, it's
God,
so good.
Michael. You are just the smoothest, sweetest.
And also, what a dummy is Stella. Because she's like, oh, he doesn't like me. I'm just paying him to like me. And it's duh. He just said he wants to smooch you. But she thinks that's part of his, his whole act, which, fine.
I get it. And then his mom invites her to dinner because she's like, seemingly respectable girl that Michael is kissing.
Smooching.
She should meet the family. Invites her to dinner, and Stella's like, oh, I don't know, and goes out to her car. And he's like, so do you want to come to dinner with my family? And she's like, is that okay with you? And he's like, well, will you be good to them? And she says, yes, of course. Ugh. I know. Will you be good to them?
Guys, I can't. My whole chest hurts every time I think about it, and I can't.
I know.
I can't, and I won't.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
And so she's like, yeah, I'm coming to dinner.
Yeah.
So she comes to dinner. Oh, no. Then he goes in and talks to his mom. And she's like, that girl seems really, really good. And it seems like, she's actually good enough for you. And he's like, har, mom. Turns out I'm not good enough for her. So that's what, he thinks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Stella comes to the house. She has Googled everything. And she's like, you must bring gifts. So she brings flowers. She brings chocolates. She's intent on making this amazing.
She's specifically trying to figure out with a Vietnamese family what is the appropriate gift to bring. And she can't figure anything out. So she brings flowers and chocolates.
Yeah. Which I think is a good call, just in general. So then the universe just plots against her.
Oh,
really.
My God. It's just, I can't even think about it. It's so horrible.
One sister is playing on a discordant piano. And so Stella, we talked about, has a piano she could play before she could talk. And she also is she does really well, and her family is wealthy. So she's never thought about getting a piano tuned. It's just something that a professional does.
Right.
So she's like, somebody should tune that piano. And everybody's sort of dancing around it.
Because his dad used to tune the piano.
Yeah.
And so that brings up a whole thing for the family. And she's like, you should have it tuned. And somebody says, Michael's dad or our dad used to tune it. And she's like, okay, then he needs to do that.
Where is he then? Because can he do that
can
now-ish?
Can he do it now? Because I can't, my brain can't work. And then the grandmother is watching
playing a really loud TV show.
Chinese opera. No.
Yeah, oh God,
no,
Chinese
worse.
opera.
I know.
Yeah.
Some people are into it, but just imagine you have a sensitivity to sound and somebody is screaming Chinese opera in the other room because she keeps... His two sisters are fighting because one stole the other one's boyfriend. He has a bunch of sisters.
He has a metric
two of them are fighting, And so because they're fighting and because the piano's on, the grandmother keeps turning up the opera, and Stella's just not
And Stella's
doing
trying so hard.
Yeah.
But she accidentally keeps on touching upon everything that's sensitive. So,
oh my God.
His mom then goes to microwave some noodles, but she does it in a plastic bowl. And Stella's like, BPA, and that's not safe, and you're poisoning everyone, and you can't put that in the microwave. And like, now I can't eat your food because I watched you poison it in the microwave.
Oh God. And it's just so incredibly rude. It made my skin crawl, but like Stella can't help it. And it's just like, because you can't eat food with, like, I get it. But, you know,
but like one time is okay, Stella.
Yeah,
but no, she can't.
You know, you try to suck it up, but she can't in this moment suck it up.
No.
And it's
and then she keeps on asking about where his dad is. And then she's like, well, what do you mean you don't know where he is? Like, what if he's hurt? What if he's not okay?
They say something like he's missing, and then she's like, he's missing? Somebody needs to do something about this. And it's, oh God, all the sisters are giving her like the worst side eye. It's just terrible.
And of course, she's not picking up on any of that because she's just very focused and her brain is on fire because of all of the noise and craziness. So finally, the mom just gets up and she's like, well, I'm going to go lay down because nobody will eat my food. And I can't stop thinking about your dad.
She's crying. And Stella
isn't sure what she did wrong, but she knows that it's all her fault.
Yes.
She can't figure out.
Well, she says 7 sets of eyes accused her. This is after the mom runs out crying. 7 sets of eyes accused her. It was worse than all of the noise from before. Far, far worse. She had made Michael's mom cry. Stella's face flamed with embarrassment and guilt, and she jumped into her feet. I'm so sorry. I need to go. And then she just runs out.
Poor thing.
Oof. And Michael doesn't know what to do because he wants to follow her, but his mom is also crying upstairs.
And he's also been watching this very slow train wreck, having no idea why it's happening or how to stop it.
Yeah.
And normally
I think
so
he's
good.
a little pissed at Stella too,
yeah,
even though he's forgiving. I think, it's pretty rough. So he goes to comfort his mom. He doesn't go follow Stella.
That's right.
Which is the correct response,
That is the correct course of action.
And his mother...
so then his mom has a whole breakdown because she's like, what if your dad is sick or injured? And he's like, we can't care about that. He fucked all of us over. Yeah. But then, isn't this where she looks at him and she's like, if you love her, we'll learn to love her too?
Yes. He says, I'm so sorry to, about the things she said about tonight. And she said, there's no need to be sorry. If you love her, we'll learn to love her too. And at the mention of the word, sweat broke out over his brow. I don't, he said. Mm-hmm. That made his actions worse, didn't it? His mom waved his protest away. Bring her back another day. May, which is what she calls herself. It's her name, but she refers to herself in the third person. Unless that's a word for mom.
That's the word for mom, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah. Okay. So, May, like M-E-H.
Yeah, there's
Bring
a dip
her back
in it.
another day. Yeah. May won't microwave the plastic when she's here. And he says, you really shouldn't microwave it anytime.
God, it's so good.
He goes boxing again next?
No, Stella can't sleep. Well, yes. But Stella has a terrible night. Stella is
horrible.
Is like replaying her apology over and over, like sobbing, you do when you're really anxious.
Yeah.
And she goes to her shop on Saturday morning with flowers and more chocolate, some truffles. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I'm really sorry about last night. It was all my fault. And
mom.
And I just need you to know that I'm deeply, deeply sorry.
Uh-huh.
And she says, like, come back sometime. Because come back to dinner and we'll hang out again. Like, we'll try again, basically. And then, Michael goes to the kendo studio. And this is where he's, like, watching Kai do some warm-ups. And he's thinking about the night before. And then he looks at Kwan. And he's like, hold on. Why did you ask me if Stella reminds me of Kai? And Kwan's like, me? And he's like, oh, my God. Stella's autistic.
Yeah. He says to her, there were too many people at the club, too much noise, too many flashing lights. You shouldn't have taken her there. And then he says everything clicked together then. Yeah. She's autistic. And so they talk about the club again.
Kwan's response is my favorite. Kwan goes, you disappointed? And Michael's like, no, but I wish you would have told me because I wouldn't have done all the stupid things that I did.
Yeah. And the whole night, the TV, the piano, the sisters shouting, everything being new, the plastic, like everything clicks together for him. And he's like, oh, okay, like I totally get this now.
And I could have mitigated all of those circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
And then Quan goes, she didn't tell you because she wants you to like her.
I know.
And Michael's just baffled by this once again. He's so sweet. Okay, so then this is when he decides that his whole life, since his dad did whatever his dad did that we'll find out later, he sort of defined himself in opposition to his father, or tried to. So this is when he decides to not only say yes to her proposition, but not take payment from her.
Right.
Because he realized that this is something that any guy should be honored to do, sort of. This is something you should do for free because you're hanging out with a really rad chick for a month.
Right.
Like, that's just dating in his mind. But, you know, whatever.
Well, now he realizes why it is she wants the boyfriend situation to practice and the sex lessons and everything. Before, he was kind of confused by it and thought that there might be like a weird reason or something. Like, he couldn't figure it out.
And so he's like, all right, I'll help her.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take payment. It'll make me not like my father. So he goes to her work because he knows that she's definitely going to be there on a Saturday, especially if she's upset.
Right.
And he texts her to be like, hey, come outside. I'm going to stand here till you come outside, so come talk to me.
She's doing the lean against the lamppost.
And in her mind, she's like, can't he just break up with me over the phone? Like, why not? So she comes out and they start talking. She's convinced that she did a bad thing by going and apologizing to his mom because she just cannot stop thinking that she's always the problem and that every instinct she has is bad. I know. And so he's like, nope, what have you eaten tonight? As your fake boyfriend, I really think you should eat. And she's like, you really want to keep doing that? And he's like, well,
she's just had like a candy bar.
Yeah. She had a protein bar.
Yeah.
Or a bite of a protein bar.
Yeah.
And so he takes her back to his mom's house and she looks exhausted. And as they pull up, she's like, I can't do the TV tonight. I can't do it. And so he just texts them and asks them to turn it off. Of course, they just mute it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grandma doesn't know the difference. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. And everything at dinner is fabulous. He brags about her PhD from the best school for economics in the country / the world. And she's like, hold on, did you do a little bit of stalking for me? It's just the sweetest and the best. And then she helps with dishes. And this is where she helps the sisters with dishes because Michael always does the cooking and then the sisters always do the dishes. And he and May and Grandma, I don't know how to say Grandma. They all talk.
And she says she doesn't know how to say grandma either.
Later
it starts
on.
with a it starts with an N, ends with a G. Yeah.
No, ends with an I, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. There's a G in there. It's hard.
Yeah.
So but
So they have this whole conversation in Vietnamese where the mom's like, she really won me over today. To humble herself and come to the shop and apologize is like really important.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're good to go if you like her a lot.
Yeah.
And the grandmother's just sitting there nodding. So cute.
They also, at some point, he pulls her into the hallway and like gives her a good smooching. That's
Not
this
yet.
time.
Nope.
Okay.
Is it?
Yes, I'm looking at it. She locked eyes with him and has her lips parted in surprise, and that was all the invitation he needed. Leaning across the center. Oh, I don't know where they are. I thought it was in the hallway, but yeah, he smooches her good. And then oh no, this is in the car. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So he walks over to her as she's doing dishes, and he does the put your hands around her waist from behind situation and kisses her neck, and he's like, do you want to go home? She's like, fuck yes, I do. So he takes her back to her car, and this is where he asks about living arrangements, and she's like, well, what do normal couples do? And he's like, yeah, normal couples usually live together. She's like, well, I want that as long as you're okay with it. I have a guest bedroom, so, you know, you can do that. And he's like, what if I want to share your bed, Stella? Oh, lordy. And she's like, that would be fine with me as long as it's okay with you. But you know what my skill level is, and you know what you'd be getting yourself into. Like, Stella, darling.
Stella.
You're so foxy.
You're sexy hot. Just believe it.
And you're a passionate person, Stella. I love it.
Yeah.
And then they super make out. They make out hard
it's a
in the car.
good make out.
Yeah,
yes.
it is.
Right up until the sisters come and knock on his window and they're like,
So
gross.
good.
They're Gelato Teenagers, his
They
sisters.
are.
They're like, get a room. In the car? What are you, like 15?
Yeah. You're going to scare her away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so on the way home, he's like, man, this is going to be so exciting. It's going to be fireworks. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be, she is fully asleep in the car.
She had a big night.
She didn't sleep the whole night before. She's exhausted.
Oh, right. That too.
Yeah. So he takes her in and just puts her straight to bed. She doesn't wake up at all, but she does wake up the next morning. And she's like, oh, Michael, I can smell Michael everywhere. And then she turns over and Michael is there.
Mm-hmm.
And
she skipped her nighttime routine again. So she's like, I'm disgusting. Oh, God, I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't shower.
Yeah, she goes to get up and he like snakes an arm around her and brings her back. And then he starts rubbing her all over. And she reaches down to pull his hand away, but then she says her body just won't cooperate.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to touch you here. And then she doesn't move his hand. And so he's like, so is that permission? And, it's so good. And then he wants to go down on her.
Mm-hmm.
And she freezes up because she's terrified. Mm-hmm. So, like, actually, she's not terrified of the act. She's terrified that her reactions aren't going to be as good as his other clients. Like, she's not gonna be hot when he does that. And of course he doesn't know any of that. One of my favorite lines in this scene is she can't verbalize what she's thinking about being competitive, and he looks at her and he goes, what's going on in that beautiful brain of yours?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's happening in there,
Michael?
And then when he pulls her knees apart and he's like, God, you have the prettiest little, and she's like, don't say it, don't say that word. And he's like, what word? Pussy? Like, is it pussy that you won't let me say? It's so great. And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, no wonder my mom likes you so much. Like, you're so Vietnamese about sex.
Yeah, it's really Vietnamese to be bashful about it. And then he tells her that he didn't know the correct term for that until like way later in life. And his aunt,
in Vietnamese, because no one would say it in Vietnamese.
His aunt calls it a sweet potato.
Or a little bird. And he's like, there are a lot of names for it, but Stella, you have a pussy, just so you know.
It's a beautiful pussy.
Mm-hmm.
So then he finally does go down on her a little while later. She totally loves it. He tells her that she comes like a porn star and that he almost spills in his jeans, which is a saying.
Yep.
And then
that's one that's used maybe like 5 times in this book, and each time I was like, but you know, people have their own things.
Totally.
The only other book that was like spilled his seed was, I think, The Duke and I. Is that the book where he was like always about to spill his seed? And maybe. I was just like, ugh. Because remember, he kept spilling it on the bed, and she kept being like, shouldn't that go somewhere else? Oh, God. Oh, man.
Well, she took care of that, didn't she? Ugh.
Yeah, she did. With rape, everyone. Okay.
They put the condom on together, and it's really cute. And then she's like, she gets in her head all of a sudden because she's like, I don't know if I can do face-to-face sex. He's going to see all the ways I feel. He's going to know. And then, like, just instinctively, he flips her over and he's like, I think you'll be less self-conscious this way. And she's like, oh my God, I am.
You are correct.
This is amazing.
Which I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's sometimes more self-conscious that way because, like, I know what my face looks like. I have a great face. Like, I have a super awesome, super pretty face. I don't know what my butt looks like at any given time. You know what I mean? Might be having a good butt day. I might be having a bad butt day. And I don't know because I'm not back there, you know? But Stella is less self-conscious that way.
I'm gonna text you next time I have a bad butt day.
It happens. There are higher cellulite days and lower cellulite days. There are sometimes you glimpse it and you're like, I'm having a great day back there. I think it's hydration contingent.
Ooh.
I do. I think you have more. I don't know. I have no science for this, but I think cellulite is worse when you're not hydrated.
I mean, I think everything is worse when you're not hydrated.
Because your cells aren't full enough. There's a scientist listening to this that's like, oh my God.
Go fuck yourself, Erin.
She's having the reaction that I had once in a yoga class where the yoga teacher told us we had to do twists to wring out our organs of toxins.
Oh boy.
And I was like, not like imagine you're wringing out your organs, but like this is scientifically what's happening in your body. And I was like, is it? Is that what's happening? Anyway, so she's having that same reaction, like, the cells are fuller, and that's why you have less cellulite. Anyway.
Oh, boy.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yep. So then he is in her, and he's like, I need you to stop moving because I've wanted this for a really long time, and I'm gonna just
spill my seed.
Ew. Stop it. He would never say that.
Spill it all in there.
I'm gonna fill this condom.
Oh, gross. Gross. Somehow that was grosser.
You're welcome. And then he's like, so then she like wiggles a little because she's feeling powerful. And he's like, no, seriously, I want our first time together to be fireworks for you. And she's like, our first time together? Because there's going to be so many more times together. It's just the fucking sweetest.
It's so
all
good.
Right. So then they're snuggling, and he realizes that meant something to him in a way that sex has not meant anything to him in a really long time.
Right.
Or maybe ever. And he's kind of having a hard time because he is supposed to be an escort and a professional. Mm-hmm. And then they go shopping, and he introduces her to yoga clothes, which is...
Right. Have we talked about the seams
conscientious?
Already? She has trouble with seams and clothes. And so he's going to take her shopping to find clothes that she will be a little less, that will be less scratchy for her.
Yeah.
That she won't have to get tailored because she has all of her tailors correct all the seams in her clothes to be flat.
Well, and also make them really fitted because she likes feeling snug and held by her clothes. She doesn't like anything baggy. So, I mean, he's brilliant. Yoga clothes, Erin.
Yoga clothes.
Amazing. So she's in hog heaven, and then they go out for lunch, and they talk about the crazy client a little bit. And she's like, so she got you that car, right? And he's like, yeah, she did. And Stella has this thought that she wants to replace it. Oh, because earlier when he was touching her, he was like, man, you're so wet already. You're like a Lamborghini. And that's where the Lamborghini comment came out.
Gotcha.
So he's like, what, do you want to buy me a Lamborghini? And she's like, maybe. Just, I want you to drive a car that I got you and not some other bitch. And he's like, I don't like gifts like that. Please don't. And don't also, if you're going to be jealous of all my former clients, like, you're going to be climbing a really tall mountain here. So, yikes. And then after lunch,
especially like gross old bleach blonde ones that are gross.
Yeah, especially ones that he's verbalized he's not into and does not want to be with ever. And then after lunch, she starts thinking to herself, okay, so he's not mine for real right now.
Right.
But why couldn't he be mine?
Could I seduce him with my sexiness? I'm like, get him, Stella, finally.
Maybe I will seduce my escort. It's the best. So this is the text and phone call that's so cute. She's at work. The next scene is she's at work and she's distracted. And she's like, I want to text Michael, but is that appropriate? What should I text him? I want to say I miss him. Nope. I'm going to say, I am confirming our dinner plans for this evening. It's so cute.
We've all been there, Stella. We've all been there. Yeah.
Everybody. And he immediately calls her. And so he's like, I'm doing a lot with my hands, but I really wanted to talk to you. So blah, blah, blah. Yes to this evening. Yes to me picking up clothes so that we can go back to your place forever. And okay, I miss you. Bye. And before she can be like, I miss you too, he hangs up. So then she's staring at her phone and she's like, okay, I'm going to be bold. And she texts him, I want a picture of you for my phone. So he takes a selfie and sends it. And then he's like, I need one of you now.
Right.
Take your hair down, undo the top 2 buttons. It's so
because he knows
cute.
she's buttoned up all the way with her hair up wherever she is.
And so they exchange pics, and her hairband breaks as she takes out her bun, so she can't put it back up. Which, oh boy. She's about to leave for dinner, and then fucking Philip, the
coworker.
Yeah, the human spoiled milk finds her. And he catches her on the way out. He's like a douche. He asks her about her new boyfriend and like whether they're serious, and
he's like, oh, you should go out with me instead.
Yeah, he just says awful things. Oh no, he's like, I'm not seeing Heidi anymore because she says I'm condescending. I can't help it if I know things. And then he's like, wait, forget I just said that, because like he realizes how condescending he sounds. So then we get to the restaurant, and they're so lovey-dovey and so cute. This is the first time he calls her my Stella, and they talk about their days. She says that she's got this interesting project that she can't work out, but she doesn't want to talk about it more than that because she's self-conscious about talking about work.
Right.
Because she hasn't realized that Michael finds it super sexy.
Yeah,
when she talks
Michael
about her
loves
work.
it when she talks about maths.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, it's super boring. We don't like hearing about it. So that's something that she's learned socially to not do.
Right.
And
meanwhile, Michael's like, sounds like you're passionate about something. I dig that. Tell me more. Because he's fucking perfect. Okay, then this is where she asks him to make her dress for the benefit and asks him to be her date to the benefit. That's in like a month. And it's really exciting because he says yes to both. Okay, so then they have to go pick up his clothes, and they go to his house. He's like, do you want to pop by my place to pick up my stuff? And she's like, oh, that sounds interesting. This is a no client, no woman zone in his words.
Right.
But like he wants her there, and he can't really figure out why.
He's a little embarrassed too, because it's like all IKEA and stuff, and he knows that she's like super crazy rich if she can give him 50 grand like just out of nowhere. So
yeah.
He's a little embarrassed, but he also just wants her in his house.
Yeah, it's so sweet. He comes out of his closet because he's been packing up, and Stella is on his bed. She's got his sheets all around her, and she's sniffing it with this huge smile on her face. And he's like, that should not turn me on because it's a little creepy, but god damn it, it totally turns me on.
Yep.
So he's like, you don't need me anymore now that you have my smell. And she's like, it's so good.
You know what I thought of? Do you remember? This is a deep cut, so sorry,
Please tell me.
Here we go. Do you remember near the end of season 1 of True Blood when Sam is rolling around in the
Suki's
dead
sheets.
chick? I don't remember what her name was.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not Suki's. It's
No, it's the dead girl.
It's the brunette.
She had 2 names. Yeah, the very first murder in book 1.
Yeah,
and you don't know Sam is a shifter yet.
Right.
And so he breaks into the house and is just rolling around in the sheets, smelling her smell.
That's exactly
and you're
what
just
I thought of too.
Shit. Well, if you haven't read the books, you're like, shit, Sam's the murderer. He's super crazy creepy. But really, he's just a dog and he's trying to get the smell. Oh, man. Anyway,
so
that's what I thought of. I thought of that exact thing. Really?
Me too. Yes, that exact scene.
Really?
Yes. Because he's got that huge smile on his face.
Yeah.
So then he makes this like offhand joke about like, what if the sheets are dirty? And immediately regrets it because Stella's reaction is, I think, appropriate. She's just like, oh, fuck. Like that. Ew. I didn't think about other people being here and blah.
Ugh.
And that's where he tells her that not only does he never ever bring women back to his house, but that he doesn't group her in his mind, like with his quote unquote clients.
Right.
They're not the same in his mind. So then they start doing some sexy times, and it is super hot. And she says that she wants to learn all the things that he loves. And he's like, I love kissing you. Mm-hmm. And then that leads to her like looking back and like popping back and going, wait, does that mean I have permission to kiss you whenever I want? And he's like, yes. She's like, oh my God. She's so excited. Yeah, and then he does more dirty talking. He goes back to the pussy refrain. And he starts, because he's like, I think you really like the words. And she's like, I don't know. I just like you touching me. And he's like, no, you like it when I talk dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And so toward the end, he goes just like this wet, hot, sweet potato. she can't help but like laugh hysterically.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cute. But then he doesn't have a condom.
Yeah.
So he goes downstairs to get a condom, and she has a bit of a snoop.
Yeah, she does a snoop.
Yeah. She finds some bills.
She looks at his mail.
Yeah, learns that not only is his real name Michael Larson, but that she figures out the reason he's been escorting is because of his mom's astronomical medical bills. Mm-hmm. And it's so cute because she's just like, he's the best guy ever.
Yeah, he's not an escort because he likes the thrill of it or some kind of like, you know, kink or something, which is fine.
But it's not what she's here for.
I don't think Stella would have liked it. Yeah,
right.
I don't think she would have been about that. So now she knows why he's doing it. Oh, so sweet.
So then she curls up on his couch because she is overcome with emotion. He walks in and he immediately thinks like, did I go too fast? Did I freak you out?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
What happened?
And the levees break and she's just like, Michael, I'm obsessed with you. I'm gonna be that crazy client. My favorite line out of this breakdown is I like you better than calculus, and math is the only thing that unites the universe. So toward the end of it, he just cuts her off by kissing her super passionately.
Yeah.
And then she gets down on her knees and takes him into her mouth. And then he pulls her back up onto the couch because he can't stand not being inside her anymore. And then they have crazy passionate face-to-face sex. And she's like really worried about it until she realizes that the intensity and the vulnerability that she feels and sees is his, not just hers.
Right.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's so well written too.
It is. My favorite line toward the end of that scene is after they're just like holding each other. It says, all was silence, but for their hearts trying to synchronize their crashing. It is just gorgeous. And then she stays over. He invites her to stay over in his house. So good.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they move in together, basically. He moves to her apartment. They start living life. He goes to work. She goes to work.
Yeah, he brings enough stuff there where he can...
Sorry.
I mean, he's not like super... He didn't sell his furniture or anything, right, but he's there for the duration of the agreement. Yeah.
Right. And by next Saturday, he realizes that he's in love with her completely.
He loves her.
He loves her so much. And they're watching this Asian TV drama that she got from his apartment.
Oh yeah, they both super like karate kung fu movies. I'm probably saying the wrong words. I'm sorry. I don't know what they're called.
I think that this is actually K-drama.
Oh, right. They also both like Korean drama stuff. Because the first time they met, he was like...
I don't look like Daniel Henney.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you look
oh
better.
My God, you like Korean dramas?
Yeah.
And she's like, yes. So they both like the same stuff. But they also really both like kung fu sort of movies too, right? Yeah.
But... they have this really telling conversation that I think Michael should have paid more attention to, as is usual in romance novels. But there's this character whose dad is a villain, and so she doesn't want to be with another guy because she doesn't think that she's good enough. So it's literally Michael. And Stella's like, oh no, they can overcome that. She's not her father.
Right.
And Michael's like, of course she can't overcome that because I can't overcome that. Like, if you only knew, Stella. But like, stop being stupid.
Yeah.
And then,
you're a dummy, Michael.
You're a dummy, Michael. Now I'm going to be the Gelato Teenager. God. Get over yourself, Michael.
Get over it, Michael. Stop being such a poser.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just really sweet. They have a whole, like, there's a bunch of scenes with them just in, like, just living life. And then she has another dinner with his family. And they talk about how embarrassingly happy he's been. This is where he takes her out into the hallway.
So this evening begins. She walks in. He's tangled up like a pretzel with one of his little sisters, and they're having this like wrestling match. And his little sister, I think, has him in a headlock where she's like, relent, submit to me. Like, and he's like, his whole face is purple and he's like, I will like, never. No. And they're like all twisted up. And so she had learned the first time, or maybe the second time that she went to their house, that they leave food around this Buddha statue as like a tradition. And so there were lots of oranges and stuff. So she brought a bag of oranges. So she brought a bag of oranges as the gift, which is cool. So she just kind of like nonchalantly like leaves the oranges, like kind of awkwardly skirts around him in the wrestling thing. And then so she like hangs out with his mom in the kitchen for a little bit. And then he comes in to the room and it says his hair stood up in complete disarray and his face was still flushed from beating up on his sister. He wore a wrinkled white button down over a plain t-shirt and faded jeans. He was gorgeous. Yeah. I just loved it that he's like a fucking mess and she's like, ah. Then he pulls her into the hallway. Oh boy. And they're making out and he's like, I really like this dress on you. But she had a cardigan over it or something
and she's like
that.
Can you sew a bra into it?
She's like, there's a problem because I'm always nipping out in this dress. Could you maybe sew a bra into it? Because he's like all like going down her neck and like fingering on her nipples and stuff. And he's like, no.
He's like,
I think it's pretty perfect.
This is such a high fashion look, Stella, and you know how I feel about fashion.
Love fashion. And so his sister walks into the hallway and is like, oh, God. Oh, get a room. So
it's so perfect. And then they have dinner and she eats this scary Asian shrimp sauce apparently sounds like smells like dead bodies.
Do you not know about this?
Yeah, I do.
You do? Yeah. I'm sure. You've had this, right?
Yeah.
It's like a salty...
Yeah.
I encountered this. My neighbor growing up was from the Philippines and she would have all these like parties, like these crazy New Year's parties where she'd make like incredible food. Like they would always have these parties with like incredible food. So my mom and I invited her over one day and we were like, Norma, you're going to teach us how to make some of this incredible food. We're going to have a girls' day. We're going to like, drink wine and you're going to teach us how to make these like crazy wontons. Oh, it was a great day. And my mom and I, of course, have this like idea in our head, like we're going to do this all the time now. We're going to make this great Filipino food all the time. We never made it again. Like we went to the Asian grocery store and got all the ingredients. She gave us a big list and we're like, we're going to go back to the Asian grocery store all the time. We're going to make this crazy delicious food. Never again. Like never. Of course, we're creatures of habit. But that day it was great. And one of the ingredients was this like shrimp sauce stuff. And it's like you open the lid and you're like, you're like gagging. It's so bad, but it just tastes like saltiness.
Yeah, it's delicious.
It's very good.
Yeah, we have a couple of different versions of that for the sauce in our bowls when we make hot pot for Christmas Eve. That's like the tradition. Usually we make hot pot on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, they have a Christmas party too. Yeah, so good. Yeah.
So
don't be afraid of shrimp sauce, guys. You'll smell it, but you want to put it in everything. It's good.
I mean, I'm sure there are different versions, but yeah.
This one smelled like a rotting corpse. The one we used was corpsey. Very corpsey.
Love it. And like not even May's biological daughters will try this. So she gets like this very approving, like sort of proud look on her face. And Stella's like, I will eat this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if his mom looks at me like that all the time.
Yeah. And I think it's such a big deal for Stella too, because you would think that the smell would just knock her out.
Yeah, maybe.
She was, I would think so if it was like that pungent. And like,
she has a problem with colognes. Totally.
Yeah, she won't go near a cologne. So I was very proud of Stella in this moment.
Me too. And then they look through baby pictures. He tries to breeze past because there's a photo with his last name sewed on his shirt. And she notices. He hopes she doesn't notice. And then his mom says that he was ruining himself in New York with all those women. And she says, you only need one good woman, as she pats Stella's leg.
It's so nice. And then also, when they're at the dinner table, she's like slurping up some soup. And so Michael has a spare hair tie and just like leans over and pulls her hair back for her. And his sisters are like so grossed out. And they're like, gross, Michael, stop undressing her with your eyes, Sophie said. Seriously, Maddie chimed in. And since when do you keep rubber bands handy for her hair? Gross. Whipped much?
It's so good.
And he just smiles and then like smooches her and is like, yeah, I am pretty whipped. I really like her.
It's so good. So then he, and this is where Janie corners her after everybody's cleaning up and is like, hey, do you think you can help me get an internship? I had a really tough year because when I started at Stanford was when my mom got sick. My GPA isn't great, but I'm really passionate and
this is his little sister.
It. Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
She's an economist. She's an econo studier of economics.
Yeah. We are professionals.
You guys.
We are experts.
I went to a real law school. They gave me a degree.
I don't even have that much cred, so more power to you.
I nearly said Janie was an econo person, and I'm like, nope, that's from the Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale.
Janie, econo sister, says this and that. Anyway.
Can I just say how upset I am that the season's over? I just want more.
I'm upset that the season's over, not only because I miss the Handmaid's Tale, but also because I miss Red All Over.
Red All Over. You've got me hooked.
Handmaid's Tale podcast. And
yeah, you've got me hooked.
I'm sorry, guys. We're just taking a right turn right into the Handmaid's Tale, but sorry. Nick? Hey, skip a 30-second skip, y'all, if you don't want a very minor spoiler. I did not like Max Magnolia. Not a fan. Eyebrows on point. He can smolder, but he looked like a baby-face idiot to me, and he also behaved.
Pouty lips.
I get it. I wouldn't not smooch him if he went in for a smooch, but I don't have any feelings toward that because he's baby-face. He acts like an idiot all the time. He only got this job because he was at a temp agency or whatever, and I'm like, ugh, Nick the temp. Like, I'm like, you're not smart, you're not cool, you have no redeeming qualities. June doesn't love you. Like, she's just pretending so that she can get stuff, which, by the way, there was some talk on the geriatric friendship cult of like, June loves him now. No, bitches, June said she loved him, and look, like magic, suddenly she's out of Gilead. So, like, think about that a little bit. She's like, I love you, and then poof, now everybody's helping her. So, I don't know. I don't think she loves Nick. You know why? Because June wasn't there when Nick put his hand on his weapon and said, Commander, stay inside. It's not safe out there. And my whole body heated up. And I was like, I got it. I'm into it now. I'm there. Nick.
Nick.
Man.
Yeah, he was hot.
I'm sure that he got real hot in this moment because he's going to die in 5, 4, 3. Like, any moment. Because every time a character gets hot, they die super fast in every show, in my experience. Anyway.
Yeah, I've never been less attracted to Joseph Fiennes than in this show, and I wasn't really attracted to him in the first place, so...
I can't
he's
find
just
the time.
The weaseliest, rapiest, nicest, guyest, like
he
grossest.
Looks so gaunt, and I don't know if he became this skinny for this show or what. Because Joseph Fiennes used to be fucking built, and is he still? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Red All Over was talking about him and Max McGlingling having a planking competition at some point during the
and apparently
show.
He can plank like a crazy person. I don't know.
I'm sure Joseph Fiennes used to be like crazy built, but he just looks like you can see all of his cheekbone.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something they asked him to do.
Yeah, he's an actor.
He is. Okay, so sorry we got off track, you guys. So the next scene,
or on track, depending on how you look at it.
It's true. Okay, I can't wait for next season. It just ended this week. So
I really want to do a Patreon episode about Killing Me Softly, which you do know what it is. You do know what it is.
Do I?
Yes. This is my favorite movie. It is an erotic thriller about a celebrity mountaineer and a super dumb Heather Graham.
Yes! I have seen that movie. I cannot wait to do that for a Patreon because I will watch it again. I can't wait.
And the plot of it is strangulation sex. That's the plot.
That's the whole
plot. I know.
Oh God, I can't wait.
I know you've seen it because I showed it to you.
Yes, that's
true. No one has seen this movie in the world unless I showed it to you. listener, you're out there being like, I've seen that movie, and you're just forgetting that I'm the one that handed you that VHS tape, because this is a unknown film that is my favorite. And, like, there's no reason for anything that happens in it.
No.
Heather Graham masturbates by just like clutching her vagina. It's very weird.
Really
She's wearing
odd.
kimonos all the time for no reason, because it's
Heather
an Asian
Graham
director.
Is a
Like, there's
terrible
just-
actress.
Oh, she's so bad. But also Joseph Fiennes is terrible in it. Everyone's terrible in that
I
movie.
forgot he was in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Not only are we going to do Earth Girls Are Easy, we're also going to do Killing Me Softly, and I can't wait.
Good, because that DVD has been collecting dust for too long.
I don't even know where I'm going to find it, but I'm going to. Okay.
Oh, you'll find it.
So the next scene is Stella's at work, and she starts the paperwork to get herself an intern because her boss has wanted her to get one for a while, but she's like, ugh, interpersonal, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want that
But she will
responsibility.
for Janie. Yeah, she will. She will for Michael's family. Booyah. Because she loves him. And then Michael asked her to take a long lunch, which, yes, please.
Yes.
Anytime.
Yes.
And fucking Philip catches her on the way down. And, like, he's so gross because he may have started this whole thing, but they've been working together for 5 years, at least.
This is like if the hating game were disgusting.
Yeah.
He goes down in the elevator with her to the parking garage, and he's like, please, please, please go to lunch with me instead of your boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah,
he
and, like,
can't
go
be
to the
better than
benefit
me.
with... Oh, yeah. He says, go to the benefit with me because my mom is also on the planning committee, so we will all be there. That's important.
Right. And she's like, oh, no, I think I'm going to go to the benefit with Michael. Like, and he just keeps pressing
Yeah, and
her.
he's like, I know that I come off as like this asshole, but it's because you intimidate me and I'm so blah, blah, blah. I'm so like impressed by you. And she's like, funny because you have not paid any attention to me for 5 years. And he's like, no, I have my own issues. And she's like, well, no, because he says that she's a 10 to him, which first of all, I get that it's a nice sentiment, but can we just burn down?
Can we stop
this
numbering
ranking
people?
system?
Yeah.
I'm so over it. And it's such a douche nozzle, gross frat boy move. Anyway. And so she's like, no, I'm not perfect. I've got issues. And he's like, yeah, I know your mom told me. I don't care, I guess. Like, I can look past it almost.
But he also says he has issues as well. And I don't know what those issues are. It's never revealed in the book. Maybe it'll be revealed in a future book. I don't know.
I hope not. I could never see him again and I'll be fine.
I honestly think his issues are his mother.
And he's an asshole. He's a privileged asshole. Those are his issues. I don't know that it is any deeper than that. So then he gets in there and he like kisses her and she obviously hates it. Her whole body tenses up. She says that it's dry lip on dry lip and then a slimy tongue tries to snake into her mouth. And she pulls away. Before he did that, she turned her head away and he still insisted. And then she's like, don't ever do that again. And he says, you just have to get used to me. You got used to that other asshole.
Yeah. He says, you're acclimated to that bastard. And she shoved him, pushing him away.
She's a goldfish.
Yeah. It's awful. Like she's a
So,
goldfish.
That's what you have to do with fish. You acclimate them to the water temperature over time.
And my brain went, what is she talking about? This is a reindeer mafia moment. And then I was like, oh no, that's a really great analogy.
Yes, it is a great analogy. I am only part-time reindeer mafia.
I'm sorry. All right.
Okay, and then so she
then
goes to the shop.
lunch. Yeah.
And she's like, she sees Michael. He looks at her and smiles beautifully. And she's just like, I have to get this person out of my mouth and out of my life and out of my body. So she goes to the bathroom and she washes her mouth out with soap.
Actual soap.
It's so bad. She uses hand soap in her mouth. Oh, I can't even imagine this. So he comes in and he's like, hey, what's going on? Like, you've been, like, what are you doing? And she tells him, and he goes through a whole range of appropriate emotions.
His whole thing is crazy when she tells him. First it's like,
I liked it.
First he's super pissed that this guy did this and forced her to kiss him. Then
he's like, nobody forces you. And then he's like, He's like, Stella, you just washed your mouth out for a full minute. And in his inner monologue, he's like, I'm going to go wash his mouth out with blood.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, which is a fine thought. He doesn't actually go try and do it, which is, what some romance heroes would do. Yeah, that's a problem. But then he remembers that at the beginning of the thing, she said something about she wanted to be confident enough to go out with a coworker or something like that, like when they first started their arrangement. So then he's like, oh no, this is why you hired me, so that you could practice with this guy. This is the guy. And she, honest to a fault, is like, yeah, maybe I did. I thought he was maybe a good candidate at the time, but I don't want him anymore. And
he's like, why? What did he do? Did he do anything else? And she's like, no, he's just not you.
Yeah. And hilariously, he's liked me for a long time, so I didn't even need you if I did want to go after him. But I don't want him anymore.
I still don't think that's
he's gross.
True. I think that Philip only wants what he can't have. I think he's like,
he
look at that shiny toy, some other kid.
Yeah, because he dates all the interns. And
gross.
One day saw her with her hair down and was like, ooh, the intern just broke up with me, so I'll go with this one,
So then he's like, I'm gonna kiss you now. And she's like, no, I still can't get him out of my mouth. I can still taste him. And he goes, Stella, I need this. Mm-hmm. And so she nods, and then they kiss like crazy.
Smash face.
Super hot. And then
face smash.
And then they bone right there.
Do they
it's
bone
real
right
hot.
there?
Oh yeah, he pulls out a condom and he fucks her real good on that sink. And he wants to come. Yeah.
On his work
with
sink?
his mom outside.
Man, I don't even remember that.
Oh yeah. And he really is about to come. Then he's like, no, I got to wait for her. She comes. And then he just blasts off right there.
I think I skipped this somehow.
Girl.
I think this went from my Kindle to my car or because I don't remember this at all. And I like a work sink. So I mean, not in my I'm not saying I've.
No, you like a good work sink scene.
Yeah, I like a good work sink scene. I don't want anyone listening to think.
No, you're smarter than that. The army finds out everything.
No, in any work situation, it doesn't matter. Don't do it on your work sink unless you are the owner of the business, like Michael and his mom. It's their business.
But then
it's an employee-only bathroom. Yeah, you're right. I'm just trying to forgive Michael for this. I just feel like don't ever have sex at work. That's horrifying.
Okay. So then he goes out and fits her dress, and it's gorgeous, and it's perfect, and it's amazing, and it feels so yummy.
And it's white, and it's silky.
This is when she starts talking about that project she's working on, and she's like, I can't figure out why guys of a certain age stop buying underwear. They still wear them, I'm sure. And he's like, oh, it's because they pair off with women, and women buy underwear for men they love because they like to take care of them. And she's
men will wear underwear into the ground.
Yeah. And she's like just this whole epiphany happens in her brain. She's just like, oh my God, I never would have thought of that. With all of my maths, I never would have thought of that solution.
And she realizes that the variable she was looking for is love.
Just dead. So then she goes out and buys him underwear and hides it in his drawer.
Yes.
Because she puts a little bow on it, and it's really sweet because she wants to show him that she really cares. So then they're getting ready for the benefit. He's really nervous because he just has a feeling it's going to be a shit show. And she's getting into her dress, and she's like, can I tell my mom that I got a Michael Larson original? And he goes, oh,
you know my name.
Huh? Oh. She's like, oh no, are you mad? And he's like, no, are you mad? Because I've basically been lying to you this whole time. And she's like, no, I just thought it would make it easier for you so that it's harder to stalk you. And he's like, that's not why. And then he says he hates his last name. She finds out all about his dad. So his dad was a cheater, and when he left them, he emptied all of her mom's bank accounts, took out loans in her name for exorbitant amounts, really just devastated her personally, emotionally, and financially.
And he's like a con artist. The whole time he was married to his mom, he was seducing other women and draining their bank accounts.
Yeah.
Dirty, rotten scoundrel style.
Yeah.
And
horrifying.
Yeah.
And so Michael hates his last name. No, I don't think so.
I'm confusing this with another book I'm reading. I apologize.
No worries. So they go to the benefit and he meets her parents. Her mom is really excited about him. Her dad is a little cold. He meets Philip because he's at the tent top with them. And then during dinner, he gets sort of grilled prom style about like, what are you doing? What do you do for a living? And he doesn't want to tell them anything because he's like, I feel really judged already. I don't want to open up my life to you.
So she steps in and says, he's a fashion designer, you guys. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. Like, what a successful thing. Like, do you have a line out? Is there anything that's going on? And he's like, oh, I'm taking some time off right now. And they're like, oh, because you're designing a new line? And he's like, nope.
Right.
I'm just,
and then Philip's like, wait, so you don't do anything?
Right.
And he's like,
nope, I don't.
No. And he's like, I could never. Like, Stella, you love working. That's one of the reasons that we get along so well, fucking Philip.
And he doesn't say that the reason why he's not out designing clothes is because he's trying to take care of his mom and make sure she has enough help business. At the shop and,
And so then throughout the rest of the conversation, because Stella starts talking about work and everybody's like really animated about it, he goes down this mental spiral and he convinces himself that he's not smart enough for her, that he'll never be a good match for her, that she'd be much better suited intellectually with a guy like Philip, how they like are a really cute couple. And he's just killing himself with all of these gross thoughts. And then somebody sidles up to the table and he smells a familiar mix of whiskey and cinnamon gum.
Gross.
And he's like, oh, fuck stick. It's my old client.
The blonde from the club.
The blonde who's been stalking him, who's been throwing out exorbitant amounts of money to try to get him back, is Philip's mom.
Philip's mom, you guys. What a twist. What a twisty turn.
A twist.
No one saw it coming.
I did not see it coming. I was not okay.
Yeah.
Like, I nearly dropped my phone. So, it's horrifying. She is not at all discreet.
Nope. She's there to burn it down.
She's touching up on him. She's like, oh, you're meeting the parents, huh? Would you have met my parents for the right amount of money?
Yeah, if I had paid you more. Oof.
Everything comes out. They find out that he's an escort. Philip's like, you fucked my mom. Oh, no, he's like, you slept with my mom? And Michael's like, nope, not exactly. And she's like, yeah, there wasn't much sleeping involved. And she starts touching up all the way on his leg. And Stella, meanwhile, is like grabbing his hand and trying to connect with him because she doesn't understand why he's so stoic and accepting about it.
Right.
And she just can't figure it out. And she feels really far away from him all of a sudden. She started to feel more and more far away from him all the way through dinner. And so she sees this lady almost getting up to his crotch. And he gets up abruptly and like goes outside. So they go outside. He has a full meltdown about how he feels like a failure. He feels like he could never amount to anything, that he is going to turn into his dad any day now. That when he doesn't have enough money, he thinks about stealing it. Like, he's just like, you need more than this. I can only give you sex. So we need to, he says we need to end this farce.
She asked why he didn't make a scene back there and put her down. And he's like, well, it's a bad policy to make scenes with clients. And
you'll appreciate that someday.
Yeah. I will extend you the same courtesy after we part. And she's like, but I don't want to part. And he's like, but I do. Because he thinks she'd be better off with Philip. And this, oh God, it's just so awful.
Horrifying. So she accepts and she's like, oh, okay. Because immediately, and then he goes, and just so you know, you don't need more practice. You're fully ready. You're good. Any guy who doesn't want you because you're autistic is not worth it. And she's like, hold on. You
knew the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I figured it out after that night with my mom. And so then she's like, oh, well, this makes total sense now. Yeah, he's leaving me because I'm not enough.
Right. And he says, I accepted your proposal because I wanted to help you through your issues. And it's clear we've worked through them. So now she thinks, oh, he accepted this proposal because he knew I was autistic and wanted me to be his charity case.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It confirms every insecurity that she has. It's bad.
So he goes back to her house to pack up her stuff. She goes back to the table. Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, where's Michael? And she says that he left because they broke up. Philip smirks. And then something happens and her dad is like, yeah, I agree. I saw no good in him. And
she loses her shit.
Yes, in the best way possible. She's just like, fuck that. Then you weren't you want to read it?
Yeah.
Do you have it?
She says, then you weren't looking closely enough. He's not doing nothing. He's not lazy. Sometimes there are more important things than passion and ambition. He put his career on hold so that he could take care of his mom, who's dying of cancer. He's the kind of person who would give up anything for the people he loves. Everything. But he's nothing but good. And he didn't want her. That's her inner monologue. Her father's face darkened. Then why didn't he say so? Why would he want to share that with the people who were looking down on him? And his father starts to say he wasn't, but her mother says, yeah, that's enough. You were looking down on him. Like, clearly he wouldn't have wanted to share that with you, Edward.
And I love that her mom is like, you think that she needs somebody who's just as career driven and is going to take care of her financially. But what you don't realize is that our wonderful daughter has that on lock. Like, she's good. She needs somebody who's going to take care of her heart.
Right.
So they go outside.
And that's when she says, the noise is getting to me. Let's get out of here, which I thought was kind of a clue that her mother was also, had some sort of sensitivities or, like overstimulation issues. But that could just have been an excuse to get out.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Okay. So then he's packing up all his stuff at her house. He finds the underwear and he decides to keep it. Yes. And then he takes her check out of his wallet and puts it on her bedside table because that's the final confirmation to him that he is not his father. Mm-hmm. So the next morning she wakes up, she finds the check, and this is where she has a full sobbing meltdown because she
didn't take the money.
She's like, why isn't my money good enough?
She's literally charity to him.
Yes. He did this because he pitied me. That is the worst thing possible. And then she decides that she's gonna change everything about herself, basically. Mm-hmm.
She thinks about quitting her job because she thinks it's like a crutch.
She thinks that she starts ripping out the seams in all of her clothes so that they're really scratchy. Mm-hmm. And she keeps on doing things that are that immediately trigger her sensitivity. She pours perfume on herself. Mm-hmm. She's like, I'm gonna break myself of this so that next time I meet a man as good as Michael, he won't walk away from me because of my autism. And oh god, it's just And then Michael, meanwhile, is working overtime at the shop because he's miserable, and he's like, he keeps on checking his phone because he's like, she said that she would stalk me. She said that. And yet no phone calls, no drive-bys. If she can't love me, then I want all the drama possible because maybe that'll force us to get back together.
Right.
And he says that he feels paired off like a swan because he gets a notification from the escort agency that he has another date on Friday and he can't even think about touching someone else.
Right.
So it goes back and forth like this quite a bit. Janie comes in for her interview and she's like, hey, Michael's miserable. And frankly, you don't look much better. What? Right. Can you guys please work this out? And I think this is where Stella tells her that he broke up with her, right? Maybe?
Right. I think so.
I don't know. Janie aces her interview and gets the job. And it's way exciting. Mm-hmm. Because she's going to be an econometrician, just like Stella. And then Stella finally comes to an epiphany that no.
It's so good.
Yeah.
She says, Quitting her job was pure foolishness, and she wasn't going to do it. She realizes her job is her most favorite thing. What?
Because Stella, in her interview with her, she, Janie is like, I may not have the grades at first, but I have the passion. This is what I want to do with my life.
And she
just
explains
like you.
why econometricity is
she's like, you can look at human nature on a grandiose scale through economics, and it's one of the most like personal fields, and like it's just this Janie just crystallizes it for Stella because she has been literally writing her resignation letter. And then then Stella, go ahead.
Quitting her job was pure foolishness, and she wasn't going to do it. Setting her jaw, she closed the letter of resignation without saving it. She gathered her things and prepared to leave early. She needed to get out of this ruined shirt and wash the perfume off. Her behavior over the last week disgusted her. Yes, she was lonely. Yes, she had a broken heart, but at least she had herself.
Yes, Stella. Yes.
And this is the first time it seems like she loves herself for all
she's
the
like
things that
she
she
accepted herself.
And isn't, ashamed or, I don't know, upset, like there's something wrong with her.
One of my favorite themes of this book overall is acceptance. Like Michael needs to accept that he's a good person. Stella needs to accept that her autism isn't a romantic disability.
Right.
Like
or a disability at all. That line's in there too. Right. I don't know where that is, but she says that somewhere.
Yeah. God, it's just so good. So then Janie comes back and she's like, hey, I got an internship and it's so cool. And Michael finds out that Stella had done this. He had no idea that Stella was doing this for Janie.
Oh, and then his mom too. He takes his mom to the cancer place and does her cancer treatment. And then at the end, he gets ready to write a check and they say, no, this foundation has chosen your family as one of the ones that they're going to give this big old charity grant to.
So your mom's medical shit is covered for the rest of her life.
Yep.
Like, you do not have to worry about this anymore.
And he's like, oh my God, this is so great. I have to call Stella and tell her. And then he's like, oh no, I'm not her boyfriend anymore.
I can't call Stella and tell her. And then he talks to Quan and he's like, Quan, I no longer, I am no longer under this crippling financial burden. And you are going to business school. So do you want to be partners in my new fashion line?
Yeah.
And Quan is like, yeah, I've been waiting to ask, for you to ask me for years. So why don't we get going on this?
Yeah.
It's so good. So then Philip is in the office one day and she goes by his office and she's like, Philip, do you want to go to dinner with me? ? Not excited about it, but she's just like, gotta try this because the whole point of doing this with Michael was to try to date in a meaningful way. So here we go. They go out to dinner and he's just the worst. He talks about himself the whole time. He makes assumptions about her that she tries to correct. And then he's like, no, you're wrong. This is the way that you should really feel about blah, blah, blah.
Right.
He's just the worst.
He sucks.
And then Quan and Michael are walking down the street and they see Stella and Philip on the other side. Philip's trying to kiss her on the sidewalk and she's obviously hating it, trying to pull away, turning her head, doing all the things. And so Michael runs for it. And he goes over to Philip and he's just like, she obviously said no.
Yeah.
You need to get your fucking hands off her. And Philip is basically like, I bought her dinner though.
Yeah.
Like,
he
get out of
punches
here.
him straight in the face.
Oh yeah, punches him right in the eye. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's basically like, no, we went on a date, so at the end, I kiss her no matter what she thinks. Ugh. So then Stella starts walking off, and Michael goes after her, and he's like, oh, so you're dating now, huh? Like, this is confirming all of his fears about the fact that he really was just practice and she's going after the man she really likes. They have this whole talk where she's like, listen, I don't want to be your friend.
I don't want to be your pity friend.
Yeah. And he's like, why don't you want to be my friend? And she's like, because it's out of pity and I don't want to pity friend. I don't want to pity fucking anything.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. And so he goes back to Quan. And he's like,
he said, whoever said anything to you about pity? And she says, you did. You said you were done helping me, but I still wasn't enough. You said it and you meant it and you can't take it back now. And then he said, have you ever thought that like it might be that I felt like I wasn't enough for you? And she's like,
yeah,
why?
and she's like, in no universe does that make sense, Michael.
And he's like, I don't know, because I'm a prostitute and my dad's a criminal. And she was like, oh no, I don't care about that. You're the best person in the whole world.
Yeah. God, it's so sweet. So then he's like, Quan, I need your help. I need to woo a woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And over the next week, he sends her flowers. He calls her. And she's just like, I don't trust this. I don't trust you. Like, I'm not good enough for you. I was your pity everything. No, I'm not going to dinner with you. No. And then Philip pops by the office at one point because he sends her another bouquet of flowers and like a teddy bear.
Gross. Oh,
and
no.
I can't.
Philip doesn't. Michael does.
Yeah, no. Michael does.
Okay, yeah.
Philip stops by and I can't remember exactly what he says, but he's basically like, you're not giving that guy the time of day, right? Like, he's not good enough for you.
He's gross. Yeah.
And then we basically find out that, like, Philip just wanted her because she was a conquest. Like, throughout their conversation, one of the secretaries is standing there, and they walk off together after Stella tells him that she's not interested and she's never going to be interested.
Right.
And he, like, puts his hand on the secretary's butt on the way to the break room.
And she's like, tee-hee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, he's so gross. So then Michael's in the parking lot as she's leaving with her teddy bear and everything. Because she doesn't know what to do with this teddy bear. She doesn't want to leave it in the office all alone. But
yeah, it's so good.
It's so cute. So then he meets her out there. And this is where she's like, why wasn't my money good enough for you? Why wouldn't you take it? And he goes, I wouldn't take it because I'm in love with you. I didn't want to be paid for our time together because I just wanted to be with you. And everyone swooned. And it's so sweet.
So good.
So then they're together forever.
Yeah. And then he says he's going to ask her to marry him and she ought to brace herself because he knows she doesn't like surprises. But in roughly 3 months, that's the plan.
In 3 months, he's going to propose to her. She needs to start getting ready. And then with the epilogue it's 3 months later. She has a giant rock on her finger. She's going down to this trendy neighborhood in San Francisco because he's working on his line. And it's like coming out. And I think it's a kid's line that like has really careful seaming. Like it's meant for Stella as a kid, maybe. I can't remember exactly, but it's like the sweetest.
Yeah.
And they continue to be the sweetest, and I'm in love with them both. I wish they were real.
Me too. Yeah.
Oh, man. I loved this book.
Yeah, it was so good. It's definitely in my top contemporary. Definitely top 3.
Easy.
Top 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so good. Erin, do you have a lady love?
Yes, I do. I have 2, kind of. All right. So the first one is David is big ups into motorcycles. So he follows a lot of motorcycle Instagrams. One of which being Tim Burke Photo. That's his name, Tim Burke Photo, because he's a photographer. The other one being Hannah. I think her last name is Johansson. I think it's Hannah Johansson. It's definitely Hannah. But anyway, so both of these people, he follows a lot of Instagram people like this that have like ditched their whole life, quit their jobs, and now they just go around on a motorcycle everywhere in the world. They just go from like Alaska to Argentina or go all around Europe or all around Asia, just on their motorcycles with like camping gear on the back. And they just take pictures and probably have Instagram sponsorships, and that's how they live their life.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so this is like his dream, probably, is to leave me all alone and just go
it seems
off
like
on
a rather
motorcycle.
solitary life.
Yeah, it is. It is. So 2 of these people, Tim Burke Photo and Hannah, I think Johansson, I feel like I'm getting this wrong. But anyway, they've decided they're going to meet up in like Scandinavia, and they're going to go together for a little while and go.
This
all
is a
around.
romance novel waiting to happen.
I know. And so they're going together all around. I think Finland or they're in Norway right now on their motorcycles, and they both have Triumphs. And I think Triumph is maybe like sponsoring this in some way, but they're trying to figure out which motorcycle is better. And they have been posting Instagram stories that are so clearly, to me, a romance novel evolving. And I have been shipping them so hard over the last, 2 weeks. So they got together and then they, post little cute things about each other. Like, she is trying to make an Instagram video of, pouring the cream in her coffee and, making a heart and stuff. And he, reaches over and, puts a spoon in there and, screws it all up and is like, ha ha ha. And, they posted that video. And, there's just dumb ones, her motorcycle, she named it Clyde, and she put up a poll for to name his motorcycle, and he's like, this is bullshit. I'm never naming an inanimate object. This is Hannah's making this a thing, and it's not a thing.
How very Erin of him.
And it's but they've been at the beginning of the thing, they were like, hey, we're at this place, we got rooms here, blah blah blah. But now they're camping in another place, and I only saw one tent, and I feel like they're falling in love. Maybe, I hope. Ooh. And so I want everybody to follow them and experience the love story.
I can't wait.
I know, right? But a lot of it is through the Instagram videos you make that disappear,
Wow.
So
yeah,
you gotta follow them and look at the stories, because it's the stories that are the good stuff. And then I have another one, but it's not really a lady love. It's just something I experienced last night that I just want to share with everybody because it just grossed me out so much. I was at the grocery store. I need to get dog food. And then as I left, David was like, ice creams. And I was like, what kind of ice creams? And he's like, chocolate brownie thunder delight. And I'm like, okay, it's very specific. So I found it. It's chocolate brownie thunder is the name of that. He really knew what he wanted. So I'm going looking for my chocolate brownie thunder for David. And there is 2 girls that are couldn't have been more than 12 over by the Halo diet sort of ice creams. You know what I'm talking about? The 200 calorie ones, which are great. It's good if you don't want to eat junk food ice cream. It's a good choice. And then a mom who's standing next to them texting, and they're looking at everything, and they're like, no, we can't do this one. This one has 5 carbs, and they're obsessing over this. So this one has this much grams of sugar. This one uses stevia. This one. And they ultimately concluded that they couldn't have any of them because all of them were too much carbs. And it was so in depth, the discussion of the numbers in the ice creams. Yep. And when I say that these girls could not have even been teenagers. And the mom was just not even kind of paying attention to the situation. And it's just it just made me so grossed out. So
that is super triggering.
Yeah, we had
me.
I know, me too. And we had the whole conversation at the top of the show about junk food and hiding it and blah blah blah, and it's just kind of fun. But just be careful what you're teaching your daughters, guys. I just feel I don't know. I just got so squeaked out by that. I'm get off your fucking phone and tell these girls that they're being crazy and go get a double chocolate brownie thunder time. I just was so upset watching it. Yeah, and of course, they're both of them were skinny minis. Both of them look like skeletons with wigs on, which is just the phrase that I used to say a very skinny person. I'm not insulting the children.
No, totally.
That's just the phrase I always use.
Totally. I mean, so I joke about my hiding stuff and everything, but I shouldn't assume that everybody knows that I've spent a lot of time in therapy talking about my casually disordered eating, and I process it all the time, and I try to keep a handle on it because it's something that can really take over your life in the blink of an eye.
And it is generational.
It is absolutely generational. Yes. Yeah, it absolutely is. Yikes.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess it's one lady love and one just thing that I wanted to say it on the podcast.
Fair. I like it. My lady love is, I can't think of a straightforward way because you always say I come at it weird.
Is it weird?
I don't know, man. I have 2 different taglines in my mind. I'm just going to say it out loud. One is cry on the treadmill if you need to. The other one is embrace your emotions even if you're in public. I had a rough morning, and something happened at the gym, and it wasn't even a big deal, but it just set me off, and it made me think about a lot of other things that like I'm dealing with at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to leave this workout class, and then I was battling with like, because there's no truly private place at the gym to go. Even if you go to the locker room, there's everybody.
Yeah.
So I just needed to like calm down. And I was like, I can't go out to my car because they really frown on leaving your child in the playroom when you're not on the premises.
Why would they frown on such a thing?
I don't know.
I feel like somebody's left their kid there.
Maybe. So, yeah, I was like, I can't even go to my car. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I would like to take this walk because I also know that walking is cathartic in a lot of ways too. So I just got on the treadmill and I was just tears streaming down my face, and I was just I was calming myself down as I went.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty good at like, crying with a neutral face sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And I was definitely in that place. But then I was standing there being like, I don't care if I look like the crazy person who's crying on the treadmill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, God damn it. I'm not being self-indulgent. It's not like I'm like wailing in the middle of the walkway. I just need this catharsis. So I took it,
mm-hmm.
and then I did calm down, and it was fine. And I had a really long walk, and I did a little bit of weights, and I felt really good about myself. And then I took Ember home.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
I think it was a Post Secret, or maybe it was a meme recently that said, I love the gym because no one can tell if I'm sweating or crying. So in some ways, I think it might be the perfect place to have a public sob, because you get face sweats and people don't know.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could just be like lifting a real heavy weight. It's
true. Yeah. So that's my story. Hey,
Mel.
Erin.
Yeah. Hi. We've been here for an hour and a half. Hi.
Yeah. Where can they find us, Erin?
Oh, okay. Whew. All right.
Get ready.
Get ready.
Up.
HeavingBosomsPodcast.com. That's the website. You can listen to the podcast there. Also, for some reason, we've had some trouble posting on I think it's Google.
Stitcher.
Or Stitcher. I don't know what, but you can always go to our Libsyn, LIBSYN website. Yeah. It's libsyn.com / or regular / Heaving Bosoms podcast. Right? Is it
I thought it was heavingbosoms.libsyn.com.
Oh, it might be. Listen, if you Google Libsyn Heaving Bosoms, this is what's going to come up. Yeah. You can always listen directly there. That's what we use to put out our RSS feed.
Yeah, that's our actual RSS feed.
So if you're getting a hankering for the Heaving Bosoms and it hasn't posted on Stitcher or whatever, because it's Stitcher's problem. We posted it. We don't know what's going on. You can always go to that direct feed. Okay. Or kind of heavingbosomspodcast.com, but I'm always like 2 or 3 weeks late. So sorry.
Right.
So there's that. There's the Facebook, which is Facebook / Heaving Bosoms Podcast. There is the fan club sort of thing, which is a closed group where you can talk about anything. That's the Heaving Bosoms Podcast Geriatric Friendship Cult. There is Twitter, which is heaving_bosoms. There is Instagrams, which is just Heaving Bosoms.
Uh-huh.
And is that all of them?
That is all of them.
Gmail, heavingbosoms@gmail.com. Send us emails.
Yeah, can I just say, bitches, I have gotten 0 emails about whether or not you orgasm in a relaxed way.
No one wants to email a stranger about whether or not they farted on somebody's face one time.
How dare you, Erin? I am no stranger.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Not everybody's a Melody. TM.
Fair enough. Well, I'm just saying, I'm missing them. So if you have them, just hit send is all I'm saying. If it's in your drafts folder, get on it.
All right.
All right, everybody.
Put subject attention Melody, because I don't want to know, guys.
Yeah, for Melody would be fine. I won't tell anybody. Okay.
So keep being a badass. Keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love face nipples.
Face nipples.
Oh, my misguided toddler.
All right.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Love you. Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.